Hello and welcome to this edition of Backstage Pass, the show where we bring you all the essential takeaways right from the heart of the action. This time we are here at Google's App Summit in Dublin, an event packed with exciting announcements. With global consumer spend in apps up 13% in 2024, hitting $150 billion, the business of apps is booming. And we'll be sharing industry insider tips and best practice for both advertisers and publishers. The big story emerging this year is non-gaming apps, which have done particularly well, led by an explosion in the finance and, of course, AI app markets. So we'll dive into that more later too. In this episode, I'll be talking to Ross Brockman, Google Director of Global Partnerships, about the latest product announcements specifically aimed at our app developers in the audience.
It all comes back to the user. All of these things about quality, it involves understanding, thinking about, and investing in the relationships you as developers have with your users.
Then we'll be catching up with expert journalist Peggy Ann Salz. We'll be chatting with Božo Janković from GameBiz Consulting about ad fatigue. And finally, Carl Hasselskog, CEO of Instabridge, about growing their app revenue and profitability across regions.
The campaigns were so profitable that we were paid by AdMob faster than we had to pay Google. It's literally changed my life.
But first, I'm meeting with Bulent Hicsonmez, Managing Director of Dev Sales EMEA at Google, about some of the exciting new announcements for advertisers. Bulent, so lovely to have you here with us. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us. Now, let's start with the big picture, because we're here to talk about one thing and one thing only, and that is apps. But are apps still a sure bet for companies looking to increase their revenue in 2025 and beyond?
Definitely it is. Yeah. And I'll tell you why. On-time use, it's an all-time high. It's 4.2 trillion hours spent on mobile already now today. And that's a 6% year-on-year increase. When we look at money spent, it's $150 billion of money spent on apps by consumers already. That's 13% year-on-year. And when we look at future, the numbers are even more staggering. Without a question, it is going to be the industry to be in. But the real question is how? Because it's not going to be easy. We see 4 pillars that is going to drive success. The first one is engagement. The other one is how you interface with your user UX, user interface. And the other one is how you manage your growth. And also the fourth one, which is very critical, is how you manage it profitably.
4 really important pillars to consider. Now, the customer journey across web and apps is becoming increasingly complex, something that businesses are struggling to grapple with. However, I know there's been some exciting announcements today. Can you tell us what those solutions are and why they matter?
Managing your advertising across web and app can sometimes be complicated, and it is important to be able to provide a unified user experience. To manage that is critical. This is why we're happy to announce new ads feature that will help do that. So the first one is expanded Web to App Connect. The core functionality of it enables seamless deep linking from ads directly into a mobile app is being significantly expanded. It now integrates with high value inventory like YouTube ads, demand gen campaigns, and also hotel ads. And we already start seeing early signs of big success in this product. The second one is unified workflow and reporting. Now, Google Ads is introducing a single unified view of the overall funnel to combat data fragmentation. Key elements of this include a combined performance overview card on the homepage, and also a simplified conversion setup that intelligently bundles web and app events. So this ensures that all teams are optimized on a single source of data. So the third one is web to app acquisition measurement. This is a new crucial feature for marketing attribution. It allows fundamental web-based campaigns such as search and shopping to accurately track and receive credit for driving net new app installs and the user's first critical in-app action. This function enables all of our advertisers to confidently allocate budgets across all digital touchpoints to maximize return investment.
So given the industry-wide challenges of signal loss and cross-platform measurements, particularly on iOS post-ATT, how is Google helping advertisers get accurate insights whilst protecting users' privacy at the same time?
So our key solution to provide comprehensive attribution for our app clients is integrated conversion measurement, the so-called ICM. This is not a single product, it is a functional capability based on machine learning. So the technological core of ICM is on-device conversion measurement, it's so-called ODM. This shifts the ad interaction and conversion matching process onto the user's device to recover lost conversions and ensure accurate return on investment, all while guaranteeing that user identification data never leaves the device. In short, ICM and ODM are how Google is fulfilling its promise to maintain marketing performance while keeping users' privacy at core.
Bulent, thank you so much for your insights today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
Next, ad fatigue. We've all felt it, but how can you, as advertisers and publishers, avoid it? Journalist Peggy Ann Salz sits down with Božo Janković from GameBiz Consulting to talk about the challenges of annoying ads.
Božo, we just had our keynote. We did it. We absolutely did it. We did what we said we were going to do. And we informed the audience because bad ads, they're really common.
We know that there are some ads which are just inappropriate, right? Visually appalling. They are not representing the gameplay in the most truthful manner.
Yes.
And there are those ads that are not so obviously wrong, but then when you dig under the surface, you see that it's malware, it's ransomware, it's some other kind of scam that users are exposed to through ads that we're showing to them.
Why does ad quality matter?
Bad ads are not only bad for a user experience, they're also bad for your business. We have a study from Google, AdMob, and Deloitte that shows 1 in 5 players will quit your game if they have a negative experience with ads. And then 1 in 5 players also says that they will play certain games more than others because they had a positive ad experience in those games.
When you have data that shows that, you can start looking for a solution because it's not a problem until you know how bad the problem is.
So Peggy, what is ad quality?
That is the question, right? Because actually there is no industry standard definition. We do have the beginnings of a taxonomy, so I've sort of like broken it down into 4 segments to start. The ad content, that's the simple one. And then there's the ad templates, right? That is everything about the UX. That's those horrible ads. You can't find a way to get out of them. Can't find the X button. And then we get into ad implementation, and that's the publishers, right? Because that is the way the ad is implemented. And then at the end, down at the bottom, are the malicious ads. That's ad integrity and stability. But, you know, it's one thing to talk about the types of ad quality, that segmentation, but also the stakeholders. Each has a role, each has a responsibility here.
Absolutely, and I think that if we had all of the stakeholders aligned on the interests of the industry, so advertisers, ad networks, publishers, and app stores, we could achieve higher ad quality, and this is something that we should look up for. It would be good to kind of zoom out and see what options do publishers and the entire industry has to kind of control and bring ad quality to a higher level.
Easy one is the advertisers, right? It's just realize that value matters, yeah? Values matter, and that means don't go for shock value, go for the real value in the ads. That's a simple one. Now publishers, they have more power sometimes I think than even they know or think that they do. So, you know, number one is they just need to insist. They can insist. They can say, look, I want my ad template this way, network, please enforce it in a nice way.
Yeah, absolutely, Peggy. And I think that market-leading mediation products such as Google AdMob give publishers tools to block ads that they find inappropriate. And also, depending on which mediation you're using, you can also see all of the ads that are being displayed in your app. You can see various metrics per creative and then make an informed decision whether you want to take action or not.
I like that. Make a decision. I think that's where it all starts. We're going to continue to educate the industry. I think that's what we need to do, right?
Absolutely. Thanks for the good work, Peggy.
Now, earlier we heard product announcements for the advertisers amongst you, but many of the keynote announcements are geared towards the app developers themselves and how the quality of ads can make or break their business models. I caught up with Ross Brockman, Google's Director of Global Partnerships. Ross, thank you so much for joining us on Backstage Pass. Everyone's talking about sustainable growth. It's very much the buzzword of the summit. But how can businesses achieve this in such a competitive market?
So we believe that sustainable growth really boils down to one core metric of lifetime value, or LTV. But of course, actually underneath that, there's two core components. One is maximizing the revenue per user that you're able to achieve. But the second component is ensuring you retain those users and people don't come in one door and go straight out the other side because you've given them a bad experience while they were there.
It's interesting what you mentioned there is very much to do with having, trust and a good user experience. But we've also been hearing about how poor quality ads can cause fatigue. What's the best way to tackle that problem?
Well, honestly, I think fatigue is probably a polite way of putting it. I think what we hear from users when we run studies on this more reflects frustration. Well, here at the Summit, we have just launched Ad Monetization Pro, which is the high-end solution that we offer our largest and most sophisticated developers to help them grow their ad monetization businesses as best we can. And that's a package of three things. It's a package of features that allows them to increase their overall revenue, including things like personalizing the types of ads and experiences that are shown to different users. It includes services where a variety of our teams can support developers in building better games, including, for example, our user experience consultants who advise on the best way of integrating ads. And it includes support. These things are more complicated, and so they do need extra help from our teams, and we're happy to provide that. So you'll notice there's a theme there, and that theme is working with you to help you manage your user experiences.
Now, one of the other interesting developments that has been announced at the Summit is new ad formats. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's happening in this space?
Absolutely. There are two main areas where we've been putting effort into recently. The first is on improving existing formats. So what we've been investing in there recently is things like collapsible banners, things which are richer experiences, but then when they've delivered that richer message, get out of the user's way. We also invest in a lot of the non-interruptive formats, right? This allows opportunities where users are spending time in an environment to be less interrupted than a rich format, maybe in the background in a more sustainable fashion. And one example there would be immersive in-game ads. It's something we've been working on for a while, and it's something which we're really pleased to announce is graduating to a full launch along with the launch of AdMob Pro, and that'll be available in AdMob Pro from 2026.
So it sounds like you're doing a lot to improve user experience when it comes to ads. What about developers? What can they do?
First of all, we believe that ad quality controls are for everybody. It's a basic form of hygiene that should be available as a core platform feature. And we've invested heavily in Ad Review Center. What this means is that we've added a bunch of functionality, meaning any ad that's served through SDK bidding integrations is fully scanned by our systems, fully able to be filtered before it's ever shown by the systems that we have in place. And that's a huge degree of coverage. It's a really big deal. To answer your question, very simply, it all comes back to the user, right? With all of these things about quality, it involves understanding, thinking about, and investing in the relationships you as developers have with your users.
Ross, some fascinating take-home messages there. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
There are over 450 attendees from 150 companies at this year's summit, all coming to hear some of the exciting announcements that will have real-world practical impacts on their businesses. We caught up with one, Carl Hasselskog from Instabridge, the super app for internet connectivity.
I'm Carl and I'm the CEO of Instabridge. And Instabridge is an ecosystem of apps that makes the internet faster, cheaper, and safer. So our long-term goal is to make the internet free for everyone on the planet. And the way we make money is by showing ads. So we worked with Google to change our campaign strategy so that we specifically targeted users that would love our app. And that was what happened in 2023. And we used the T-ROAS campaigns. And then in 2024, things just took off. So we grew our revenue by 5x. When we started the ROAS campaigns, our revenue was $2 million that year. Now it's $50 million. The campaigns were so profitable that we were paid by AdMob faster than we had to pay Google. We're using all ad formats supported by AdMob, and I think that's a big competitive advantage that AdMob has versus other players in the industry. Like you get 1 percentage point here and one there, and it adds up. It adds up. So it's really important, even those small incremental improvements. And then Google has a new feature called hybrid monetization optimization, which helped us a lot, both to improve performance, but also offload our team. Some of the improvements we got from HMO, we had to build ourselves before, but now we got it automatically. So it's been very helpful for us. So lifetime value is really the name of the game. You need to look at all the variables, how you can improve it, and you need to improve ARPDAU, you need to improve retention, and they are often at odds with each other because you don't want to have too many ads, but you also need that high ARPDAU. And I think that's a big advantage for working with Google, is that you get support on both sides. Daily active users growing by 70%, so ARPDAU and lifetime value has gone up a lot as well, and we have a target ROAS of 150%, which we've achieved. So it's been very quickly growing and profitable at the same time. It's literally changed my life.
Now, if you heard those numbers and were impressed, the show today has been jam-packed with content to help your business grow, just like InstaBridge. We've had some amazing product announcements for both developers and the platforms themselves, and we've had some great insights from industry thought leaders. I hope you've had some valuable takeaways from everything you've seen today. Thank you so much for joining us at this year's App Summit, and maybe we'll see you next time in Dublin.